CCTV. We didn't have that at a patrol base when we were there. Majority of our time, we would only catch CNN in a DFAC facility, if that, and they would. I mean, when you see something like that, it's very broad. I mean, like I said, Iraq is big pieces. There's many pieces to the pie. One story is going to be from another story. You could be 50 miles north, and your story is going to be different 50 miles south in any direction. So, I mean, in some areas they were, where they would have their interviews with CNN. That area may be perfectly fine, but I don't think it gives you a sense of the country as a whole. It's just too much to cover, and wouldn't even have enough program to get all the information from everywhere. So we did get a couple chances to see that. Our area really wasn't mentioned much at all.
Yeah.
We did have New York Times with us one of our missions, but that
embedded with you.
Embedded with us.
How was that?
Well, they got a show because it was our worst day. Unfortunately, it was August 4th, 2007. They had New York Times embedded with us, and we did a humanitarian aid mission into Harvard Job, which we had a bunch of food and water, and the road was pretty much impassable. As everybody would say, the IEDs, they leave craters, and the only route into the town, there was these big craters, so we had to get a bridge set in place. So we did a very large mission into the town where, we had a squadron of individuals with engineering assets with us, and route clearance. We went ahead of everybody to clear the road, and we knew that it was a heavy chance that we were going to get hit with IEDs. We didn't know how bad, I guess you could say. And my task on the day was to dismount. We would do it in a V-like formation, and we would try to find tripwires and things like that they use to set these IEDs off. So we dismounted outside the road to try to find these wires, and identify the problem before someone got injured. So that was my task. Unfortunately, IEDs are not found all the time, and they're very hard to discover, even by route clearance vehicles. And we got hit with 6 of them that were very large, and they were destroying vehicles back to back, before you even got into the town.
Spatially speaking, I mean, were they in front of you, behind you? I mean, when they went off, I mean...
I was towards the back. Before we even dismounted, we were getting hit. We took a few casualties off the bat. And
how did you remove the casualties from the area of operations?
Well, we were not too far from our patrol base, and we had a CCP set up, a casualty collection point. We had vehicles, so we were able to get them there and medevac out as soon as possible. However, the challenge was, how are we going to get them there without hitting anything else? They were just everywhere at that point. So we got the first couple out, and which added more craters to the road in. So as we continued to march in, it was more or less hitting one after the other, and I was behind most of them. I wasn't there yet. There were the assets in front of us. We did have a lot of people.
But being behind them means that they were in fact in front of you, and you were watching these go off as you were walking towards them.
Absolutely. And it's in the experience, and anybody that has gone through them, which is a very majority of the military there, has experienced these explosions, and it'll tell you that it's very scary. It's very loud, and it's very violent. And after the first couple go off, you're kind of thinking, what do we get? What's going to happen today? So after those happened, we had the New York Times with us. They were kind of seeing it firsthand.
They had, how many people were with them?
I think it was just a handful at the time. I don't remember specifically. But they got to see firsthand what it was like to get ambushed with these IEDs. So after the first couple went off, we continued to go forward, and as we made it to the outskirts of town, I got back in my vehicle. New York Times were all with us. They wanted to see this operation to town. We're going to help the town out, and the commander's vehicle hit a 500-pound explosive and flipped it on its back, and we were happened to stand right next to it, so we got to see everything happen again. We had to get everybody out of there, had to get the commander out.
Where were you spatially in comparison to the vehicle that exploded?
We were about 30 yards down the road facing base, and they were coming through. We got to the outskirts of the town, and the Humvees were heading into the town with all the aid, and we watched it come up and do a backflip right in front of our eyes. So we were pretty much the first ones on the scene. And
you feel debris?
Everything, rocks, everything. It was a big explosion, and it took the front of that Humvee and it threw it. So
small arms?
We didn't get hit with small arms yet. These were all pressure-plated IEDs, as we would call it. They were set there prior, and what happens when a vehicle rolls over them, it detonates a charge, and that was a means of destroying our vehicles and setting casualties. So we got over there, we got everybody out. We actually
Scared?
Oh, it was very, very scary. It was. I mean, anybody could say they're scared.
Sure.
They say they're scared, and they're not experiencing it. And,
Did you have any guys that had like, unnatural reactions? I mean, in terms of more than just scared. I mean, couldn't perform or.
Well, I mean, this happened August. This is the very end, towards the end of our tour. So it's not like anything just didn't happen yet. So we all kind of like, oh, another day. Here we go. You know, it got old pretty quick, and we knew what to do and how to react. And
how was your platoon level leadership in terms of squad, platoon sergeant, lieutenant in a circumstance like this?
Well, we had a lot of officers on the ground at the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was a squadron-like operation, so we had a handful of lieutenants. Platoon sergeants were great, very good platoon sergeant. Our lieutenants, we went through 3 of them over the tour. But I don't remember what was going on with the leadership. I wasn't really on the net or anything. I was on the ground more like helping with casualties and what have you. But, I mean, me personally believe that after the first couple of IEDs that, you know, I don't think we should have kept going forward. I think it was more of a situational hazard, and I think a lot of people have said the same thing, but unfortunately decisions are made and we kept going forward, which led to more casualties. Soon after, we got hit with 2 more IEDs and more casualties, and as we got into the town, we got ambushed and took more casualties with RPGs and small arm fire, and they were...
At this point, you're dismounted going into the town, is that correct?
Well, at that point, the other platoons were going into the town, and there was a slight bridge passing that they said they were rigging up to blow up before we got in there. And I was on the ground with the casualties, and now my role was to get the casualties back to our patrol base, so we loaded our Humvee up. As the rest of the platoons were headed into town to try to get this aid out, they were taking heavy contact. So I got a couple casualties. I drove the Humvee back to the patrol base.
How are these casualties secured? I mean, they're sitting in the seat?
We had a couple in the seat. We had them strapped to the hood anywhere possible. We started taking a good number of casualties at a time and get them there as fast as possible. And some of the vehicles that were taking casualties back were getting hit with IEDs, so it was very...
Were these guys performing self-aid on themselves? Is there a medic present, or...?
We had a handful of medics. We had 3 or 4, like I said, with the squadron-like operation, we had a good amount of medical care. And at the patrol base, we had even more medical care.
Yeah.
So we had as much physical or field medics at the time to do what they had to do to get them to the patrol base, to get them medevac sent to the hospital. So
you have a two-way traffic situation at this point, in which people are coming in and you're leaving with casualties to go back.
Correct.
Did you make it back?
We made it back. We were fortunate, but there were some individuals that didn't make it back. And once we got there, we just started, at the CCP, we just did as much, anything you could do to help out, you know, bringing water, helping with IVs, you know, talking on the net. You did everything you could, because at that point it got real discouraging, your motivation started going down real low. We got there and we just, these are our friends, these are our comrades, so it was very mentally straining at that point. I stayed at the CCP until everybody came back, assisting with them, because they did not want us driving back there, given the road situation. And everybody that went to town pretty much had to turn around because it was too hostile, and we were taking too many casualties. So simple operation to help the people turned into an all-days event of chaos.
So at the CCP, you can hear the radio, the net, and you're addressing the casualties that are there. I mean, why are they still there and not being air-backed out?
Well, the medevac isn't right away. It takes time. It takes sometimes 20 minutes to get there. After the first one landed, they took off. No more came in. they had to come back and come back. So